Great. So let's back up. So we're doing cold peanut noodles first. And this is a cold pasta sauce. So it's great for summer, warm weather. It's also great for winter too, because it's actually quite filling. And you can use any kind of spaghetti or linguine or any kind of shape of pasta that you'd like, but you probably will notice that most recipes, if you do look up cold pasta noodles, you'll notice that a lot of recipes will recommend like a long pasta, so pot like spaghetti or linguine. And it's so simple. You just cook the pasta and then we make the sauce. So let's talk about the sauce. It's peanut butter, so a half a cup of smooth, I used unsweetened smooth peanut butter, just just a store brand that was a little bit soft or runny. So it does help to use that kind of a peanut butter, and because it makes a better sauce, just a smoother sauce. And then what I added was some lime juice, 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And you can also use rice vinegar or any other kind of vinegar. I just happen to really like lime juice for the flavor that it gives. And also it's just a softer acid to my taste. But a lot of recipes you'll see use rice vinegar. And so I put 2 tablespoons in, and you can play with these additions because you want to adjust it for your taste. But I've found for me, the 2 tablespoons of lime works pretty well. And then I added a tablespoon of tamari, which is a gluten-free soy sauce, basically. So you can use regular soy sauce, you can use tamari, you can use low sodium or regular. This is just regular tamari. There's just 1 tablespoon. And add the tamari a little bit at a time. Like if you feel it needs a little bit more, add a little bit more. But tamari can be really overpowering, so can soy sauce. So just be careful, because you can put stuff in, but you can't take it back out. So, and then it has 2 tablespoons of toasted sesame oil. You can also use any kind of cooking oil. You could just add more water to the sauce if you'd like. The toasted sesame oil, I really like for the flavor. It adds another layer of richness and that toasty, yummy flavor that you'll often find in peanut sauces. And this is just found in the Asian food section of any kind of grocery store. Inexpensive. And then have some water. So about quarter cup, half cup or more. I think I'm actually going to add a little bit more to this because once it sits, it thickens up quite a bit. And you want your sauce to be smooth and runny enough so it can cover your noodles okay. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. And this looks a little runny, but it's gonna harden up quite a bit. So that's the sauce. And oh, it also has some grated ginger in there. So you probably saw me grating the ginger. And ginger, all these ingredients have so many nutritional properties. The peanut butter is really high in protein and fiber, and the ginger's got some lovely phytochemicals in it that help with digestion, reduce nausea. They think might help protect against colon cancer. I think there's like more than 100 different plant chemicals in ginger alone that has health benefits. So I really think about my recipes as being ways to economically add a whole lot of nutrition to your food. So really highly nutritious, easy to find, inexpensive ingredients. So that's the sauce. I'll just set this over here. Oh, I also put chili crisp in there. And that's another embellishment. You could add crushed red pepper. You could add chili garlic sauce. I'm just loving this chili crisp stuff. It's something that's new to me. And I know it's been around for a while, but I'm a little slow. This is mild because I can't eat a whole lot of spices, but you can also find it in hot versions. And this has chilies. See, it has chili, mushroom powder, Szechuan peppercorns. It has garlic, onions, a little bit of oil, and a little bit of sugar. So it's got 2 grams of carbohydrate per teaspoon. So not a lot, not super sweet. And so I'm wondering if anybody has used chili crisp, and if you have, what do you use it for? Because I'm just loving it. And so here's the pasta. I cooked this ahead of time because it's just needed to chill. So cook the pasta according to package directions, rinse it with cold water, and then let it drain. I tossed it with my hands to get the moisture off. And then I just put a little bit of toasted sesame oil on top to keep the noodles from sticking, and just have it sitting out because it was right before the class. But you could cover it and put it in the fridge and save it for later if you'd like. And like I said, any kind of pasta works. I happen to use gluten-free. That's because that's what I tolerate. And but any high fiber, whole grain, regular pasta, doesn't matter, whatever you like. The brand that I like, if you do gluten-free, I really like, there's a pasta called Pasta Joy. Pasta Joy. It's lovely. It's got great texture. It's made from brown rice flour. And then also this is one called Jovial. This is also made from brown rice pasta. So those are two that I've tried that actually hold up really well. They have nice texture and they do well in a cold dish as well. So those are some to try if you want to try the gluten-free. So we've got that. We've got the sauce. I'm going to toss the sauce on here. And then we're going to add a bunch of vegetables. So pasta can be a vehicle for vegetables. You know, it's a way to just, if you're having pasta, add a bunch of vegetables to it. And any kind you want. So I really think of this noodle dish as like a salad, you know. So we're going to throw in all kinds of things, and you can play with what you'd like to add as well. So let me set my pasta over here and start with my carrots. So I've got some carrots that are just chopped up into little matchsticks like this. And I'm going to chop one more carrot up a little bit. And then what we're going to do with the carrots, because they're super crunchy, right? And they might be fine just the way, you know, you're just going to put the carrots right into the salad, but you can cook them a little bit with just a little hot water. So it's like blanching, you know, when you have a boiling pot of water and you throw some veggies in it for a little while, just, you know, a minute or so, just to kind of pre-cook them. That's what we're going to do with these carrots, but it's super easy. We're just going to put them in a bowl with some hot water on it for about a minute. And that will just soften them up a little bit and make it kind of more fun to eat, I think, in this salad. So carrots, yes, just a simple carrot is so nutritious. They've got tons of fiber. There's vitamin C, there's potassium, there's beta carotene, which is a very important nutrient for your immune system, for your eyes. Beta carotene turns to vitamin A in your body. And so very important nutrients. The beta carotene you find are things that are orange and red and green, actually. There's beta carotene in green leafy things too. There's my carrots. And cut your carrots any shape you like. You just want to cut them in half moons or whatever, it doesn't matter. So this is just some hot water, and I'm going to let this steep for just a minute, and then I'll drain it. And but that'll just soften up those carrots a little bit. All right, next ingredient, scallions, green onions. Super affordable, wonderfully nutritious food. These are in the onion family, onion and garlic family, and they're called alliums. And just like garlic, green onions have that compound called allicin, which is a very important phytochemical, very healthy, helps protect us from colds. It's an anti-inflammatory chemical. It can help boost your immune system. Potentially protect against certain kinds of cancer. So garlic is a really good source of that chemical called allicin, and the green onions are too. So it's ALLICIN is allicin. And you might have seen me at the start of our class chopping up garlic. And what I was talking about or doing, I was just pre-chopping the garlic. It's actually for our second pasta dish. But I wanted to pre-chop it because if you chop up your garlic at the start of your cooking and let it sit for about 10 minutes, you get more of that allicin chemical in your garlic. So it makes it more nutritious. All right. We're going to put some radishes in to the pasta. And I'm wondering if you guys eat radishes, how do you like them? Which kind of radishes do you like? Have you ever seen different kinds of radishes out there? They're one of my favorite vegetables. They belong in the same family as broccoli and cauliflower and kale and cabbage. They're called brassicas and very, very nutritious. And so they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. So these happen to be white radishes, and these are called French breakfast radishes, very fancy. But they're just like your regular globe radishes that you find in the grocery store, the round ones. So some have a little bit more spicy flavor, some are a little more mild. And what I usually do with radishes is when I buy them, I usually cut the greens off, and that helps to keep the radishes fresher for longer. And I'll store the radishes. And if the greens look okay, these look a little beat up because I bought these a few days ago and I didn't cut them off. But you can eat the greens. So has anybody tried radish greens? Radishes are cool. You can eat the roots, the greens, you can eat radish sprouts. And they're just it's a lovely food. And so yeah, you can chop this up in a salad. You can saute it like with some garlic or onion, like in a stir fry. Really good. Like these are a little wilty, but I could chop these up and cook them over there. These little French radishes, the greens look a little bit healthier. So I might just save these and put them in a salad. So they have like a kind of a spicy flavor, just like a radish does. So yeah, tell me about your radish adventures. Anybody like radishes?
No radish fans in
No
the
radish.
chat, but
No. Okay.
I
Well,
have to admit, I had no idea there were so many different types of radishes. That's very
there,
cool.
there are tons. There's black ones, there's red ones, there's purple ones, there's all sorts of kinds. It's neat. If you have access to a farmer's market, that's very often where you'll find some of those unusual varieties. Yeah, so radishes have let's see. So again, they're in the brassica family, so they're alongside broccoli and cauliflower and kale and cabbage. So we've probably heard how nutritious those are for us. They have lots of anti-inflammatory, antioxidant effects. They also have a lot of B vitamins. Interesting that there's lots and lots of B vitamins in the radish root. There's also a lot of vitamin C, fiber. So it's a very nutritious vegetable. So if you like them, definitely, try to incorporate them in your diet. One of the ways I like to eat them is with thinly sliced with some salt and butter on a piece of bread. They're so good that way. Uh, there's our radishes. Got radishes, carrots, green onions, and I'm going to chop up a bell pepper. So really any kind of veggies that you want to add to this salad are just fine. So anything that you've got on hand. And any kind of bell pepper can work. This happens to be a red one. The red ones are a little sweeter because they're actually ripe. The green ones are not ripe, but they're still tasty and they have a different flavor profile. So green bell peppers work just fine. And that's really it. The last thing we're going to add is some cilantro to the salad. And, anytime you add herbs to your salad, that also raises the nutrition profile, gives you more, usually potassium, vitamin C, even things like magnesium and B vitamins and calcium even you can find in things that are green. So fresh herbs, super easy way to add nutrients to your food.
I'm enjoying the mix of bright colors with all
Oh,
the different,
beautiful. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And we eat with our eyes, right? So if your dish looks beautiful, um, you're probably going to eat more of it, right? So there we go. Beautiful colors and beautiful flavors and really fresh aromas. So easy to make. Throw in my radishes and my carrots. I just need to rinse these. I'll be right back. Okay, let's put those in there. Has anybody tried peanut noodles, cold peanut noodles? Is there a favorite restaurant that you like to go to that has your favorite mix?
I have not tried peanut noodles, but after watching you make them, it's certainly on my list to try.
Yeah, they're super fun. And if you're allergic to peanuts, a lot of people are, so you can adjust this recipe. And I would use instead, you could make the sauce with tahini, which is a toasted sesame seed butter. And I don't know if the lime doesn't go with the sesame seed butter as much as the peanut butter. So you might use a little vinegar or lemon instead. So you can do it with tahini. You could also just make it like a little vinaigrette dressing. Like you could use some sesame oil and some lime juice and little ginger. That works really well on these noodles too. So it can be really easy and simple. And you can avoid the peanuts if you need to. All right, there's our noodles. Wow, that's a big bowl of noodles. I think we have to invite neighbors over tonight for sure. Yeah, I'm wondering any thoughts, any questions about our peanut noodles, and we'll jump into our next pasta dish. Or any thoughts about pasta? Like, how do you guys feel about pasta, having type 1?
You
Any
know,
tricks,
it's
tips that you have?
yeah, folks, let us know in the comments if you have questions or what your experience has been with pasta. Um, I've always heard that pasta is kind of difficult with type 1 diabetes, but my experience with it has usually been pretty smooth. And I think, of course, I'm aware that it's a higher carb option to eat, but in my experience, it digests slowly, and so that my insulin then can match up with kind of that digestion profile. So it usually treats me pretty well, but I know that's not always the case for everybody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's can be so many different experiences with pasta. And that's been my experience with watching what happens with pasta is it's kind of a slower carb. If it's cold pasta, it's slow for sure. Cold starches digest and break down and more slowly than hot. So that's always a trick if you want a starchy food that hits you a little bit more slowly. Chill it. So pasta, grains, potatoes, beans, corn, green peas, any of those starchy foods. If you eat
Yeah,
them when they're cold, even if you cooked pasta and chilled it and then heated it up again, it still has some of that. We call it resistant starch. And you'll see kind of a slower rise in glucose, which, like you were saying, Scott, sometimes can help your insulin get in there on time to catch it.
yeah, good tips.
Yeah, so I'm gonna set my beautiful, yummy looking peanut
Oh, that's
noodles
cool.
aside.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's grab my towel here. Let's do broccoli pasta. So this is even easier. It's actually, well, it's not really one pot technically. It's actually a pot and a small pan, but it's really easy. And I've got a pot of water here, this blue pot over here that I'm gonna check. I think it should be boiling, but let me check it real quick. Yep. So about 8 ounces of this is penne pasta. This is a shaped pasta is actually a nice pasta for this dish because it's
Mhm.
easier to pick up the chunks of broccoli when there's actually a shape. It's a little more challenging with the long squiggly noodle types. So this is going in here and set my timer for about 8 minutes. And come back to that. And we'll get the rest of the ingredients ready. So I've already done the garlic. So this is what we're gonna do for our sauce. So I have a 1/4 cup of olive oil here in this little skillet. I'm gonna put my garlic in there and a little crushed red pepper, more or less depending on how spicy you want it. And I'm gonna put in a pinch of salt, maybe a couple pinches. And what I'm gonna do is not cook this per se. I'm heating it on the stove just until it comes to a little simmer. And then I'm gonna take it off the heat and just let it sit there. So I don't want the garlic to brown or really necessarily cook. You just want it to soften up a little bit and then infuse the flavor into the oil.
And so,
That's
Rita, may I ask what, when you are bringing something to a simmer, what are you looking for in that, right? Like I know how to tell if water's boiling, but I'm not sure that I could tell if something is at a proper simmer.
that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, it is if there are small, tiny bubbles, like champagne bubbles
Got it.
coming up to the surface. Yeah, yep, just a little bit of bubbly. That's a simmer. Yep, great question. Thank you. Um, so yeah, so the rest of it is a lemon and broccoli, and I think that's it. Yep, lemon and broccoli. So let's talk about our broccoli. And Parmesan cheese. There's some Parmesan cheese in this too. So broccoli you can use fresh or you could use frozen in this recipe. With the fresh, I'm going to add the fresh to the pot of boiling water with the pasta at about 8 minutes. And I'm just really just blanching it and softening it a little bit. So it'll be sort of al dente. If you want it to be softer, you just might want to pre-cook it, or you can add it to the water a little bit sooner. And I just cut the pieces of broccoli into little florets. So kind of bite-sized pieces. So I don't want them to take forever to cook. And this is a blanching, because I just want them to turn bright green and get a little bit soft. And al dente. Whoops. That's this, I don't know if you can see it, but that's a simmer. I don't know if you can see or hear it. Probably can't
Okay,
see it,
got it.
but there's a little bit of bubbles there.
Yep, I can. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. And so I picked that off the heat. So I didn't want it to brown. So it's just gonna sit there and infuse the flavor. So fresh or frozen broccoli. And I like to use the whole piece of broccoli, like the whole thing, including the stem. And the stem is actually quite delicious and it's actually kind of sweet. So what I'll do is I'll just cut the florets off, and then you could use a vegetable peeler, or I'm just going to take my knife and roughly get that peel off of the broccoli. So I'm not too worried about being really finicky or picky about this. I'm just going to take the hard outer skin of the stem is not fun to eat. Yeah, it's kind of tough. And if you just peel it, it makes the broccoli stem actually really tender and easy to eat. So, and then I'll just take this and I'll just slice it thinly, because it will take a little bit longer to cook than the florets will. And again, any way you want to chop it is fine. And then I'll just cut the florets. And if you're using frozen broccoli, I've tried this a couple ways. I've tried just adding the frozen broccoli to the pot of the pasta, but it really stops the cooking process for a long time because you're putting frozen stuff in boiling water. And then it turns out the broccoli kind of turns out mushy. So what I've found is if I take that frozen broccoli out of the freezer and let it defrost a little bit, or I stick it in a microwave for 30 seconds, or I pour some hot water on it for 30 seconds to a minute, and just kind of pre-thaw it a little bit. and then throw it in like almost just a couple minutes before the pasta is done. Then the broccoli doesn't get mushy and it stays a little bit crisper that way. And frozen veggies are super nutritious. Sometimes they're more nutritious than the fresh because when a vegetable is picked and it goes to a processing facility, usually pretty quickly, and gets frozen right away. And it's usually when if they're frozen, they usually get picked at like peak ripeness. So that means that the nutrients are actually there's more nutrients when the fruits and vegetables are riper. They taste better. And the freezing actually preserves a lot of the nutrients in the food that might get lost if that vegetable's been on a truck or sitting on a grocery store shelf for a while. So frozen can be a perfectly great option. So that's the broccoli. And then I'm going to use my lemon. And I'll use the lemon juice and I'll also use the lemon zest. And I'm wondering, does anybody out there use zest of lemon, lime, or orange or grapefruit? So a zest is removing the bright outer skin of the citrus and not too much of the white inside. And the zest, this is just a grater. The zest produces, there's a lot of oils in there that are really so fragrant. Like right now, it smells like lemons in here. It's so yummy. And lemon actually is a mood lifter. So if you're feeling like you need a little energy, grab a lemon, smell it. Actually helps perk up your mood sometimes. But the lemon zest has some nutrients in it, has some fiber, it has some important phytochemicals, again, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, all that stuff that you're going to hear me talking about a lot is really concentrated in the zest.
I've not used lemon zest before, but I can, just looking at your cutting board, I can smell the
And
lemon.
yep. Think about a lemon, right? And then your mouth starts to water. Yeah, it's so good for you. And I'm just gonna get the juice out of this lemon. And I usually do it in this not professional way. I just squeeze it and I pick out the seeds later. But if you have like a lemon squeezer, that's pretty handy and it's a lot less messy than this particular way of doing things, but whatever works. Oh, there's my pasta. Hold on. All right. So broccoli's going in the pot. And I'm going to give it a stir. And then we'll just cover it up. And I think this pasta cooks in like 12 or 13 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer again. And get it boiling and then it'll be ready. So that's it. Then what's going to happen is we're going to put this lemon juice and the lemon zest together. And then we will, when that pasta is done, we're going to drain it and put it back in the pot. And then toss it with the lemon juice, lemon zest, the oil with the garlic, and the crushed red pepper, and then some Parmesan cheese. That's it. That's all there
And
is.
Rita, with the oil mixture there, once it got to a simmer, you just took it off the heat and set it off to the side, right?
I did. Took it off the heat and set it off to the side. Yep. It was right on the edge of turning brown. And if it browns, that's okay. It'll just be a different flavor.
Sure.
Browned garlic has sometimes it tastes a little bitter. And so that's why I like to just bring it to a simmer, take it off the heat, and then it'll just infuse the oil with the flavor.
Yeah.
That's how I make, if you've ever used, made spaghetti with garlic and olive oil, that's basically the same. That's what you're doing. So, yeah. I'm waiting for this pasta to boil. Any thoughts or questions? Anything that you guys want to share?
Is there anything with the different shapes of pasta is just it's just kind of a sight preference and a feel preference. Is there anything else to it that we should know about or
Yeah, it's really just what do you want it to look like and how do you want it to be, what do you want the experience to be like eating it? So usually generally the recommendations are if you've got something chunky, like a chunky sauce, the shapes hold on to the sauce better than
Mhm.
those. It's just harder to get much of the sauce if you're eating it with spaghetti. But if it's got like a smooth sauce or oil and vinegar or something like that, then often you'll see like a spaghetti or a linguine or a fettuccine or something like that. Like fettuccine Alfredo is probably the classic, right? So it's a smooth, creamy sauce, and you could definitely put it with a shape, but you almost always see it with linguine or
Yeah.
fettuccine or something like that.
And can you talk to me a little bit about, again, more on the lemon zest, right? Where you talked about the fragrance of it. Does it
Mhm.
add nutritional value? Are there other benefits for using lemon zest in addition to the juice?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's again, it's super, super flavorful and the aroma. So if you want to just boost the lemon flavor in anything or lime or orange, put some zest in it because that will just make that flavor pop. But then also the zest contains some essential oils that give you that lemony flavor, which are they have anti-inflammatory effects, which we know with just general health and longevity. And we know that if we reduce inflammation in the body, it helps us be healthier. So
Yeah.
all of those plant chemicals that reduce inflammation are super important. So the lemon zest is anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. That means it helps protect your cells from damage.
Mhm.
So our cells are constantly body cells are being bombarded all the time by things that could damage those cells. So antioxidants actually help protect your cells, keep them healthy. There's also a fair amount of fiber in lemon zest. And as we know, that helps with our blood sugars. Sometimes it can help with our gut health. The more fiber we eat, the healthier our guts are, the healthier our microbiome, which is the group of bacteria that live in our gut. It's also antimicrobial, like, so it helps to fight bacteria. And I think I read some studies on lemon and lemon zest that it might actually help protect our skin from sunburn.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all sorts of things that you can get from plants.
Yeah, I love that.
That's cool, huh? So my pasta is about to go off. I'm gonna grab it and I'm
Sounds
gonna
good.
drain it in the sink. I'll be right back.
Yep. That's one of the things I love about these classes with you, Rita, is all the extra tidbits and useful information that I never would have picked up elsewhere.
Oh, it's good. That's fun stuff. I love doing that. So I'll be
Yeah.
right back. And I hope it's useful. Good.
Very
So,
much so.
all right. So here's this nice pasta and broccoli. Look at how bright green that broccoli is. That's a nice color. Um, mm-hmm. It's kind of al dente. Sorry. Talking with my mouth full. And I'm gonna put a trivet here so we can look in the pot. Pot.
Yeah, don't burn your hands there.
Yep. All right. So where's my there. There's so there's pasta and broccoli. See if you can see it. There we go.
Yep, got it.
And I'm just gonna toss in the oil and the crushed red pepper and the garlic and the lemon and the zest. And you can taste it now. Like you might find that it needs a little salt, maybe a little, even some black pepper if you'd like, or more crushed red pepper. And then I'll just top it off with some grated Parmesan cheese.
Yeah, that looks great.
And that's dinner. There it is. And you could add protein to this if you wanted to, too. So if you wanted to throw in some chicken, that goes really well with this.
Mhm.
You know, if you had like a roasted chicken or a leftover chicken and you just wanted to toss it with your pasta, it works really great.
Yeah, that's great. I love that idea.
Yeah. So that's it, you guys. That's the pasta story.
I love it. I am a big fan of pasta, and these both look amazing.
Yeah, and I think it can be just a nutritious dish, economical, simple to make. Here we go. Uh, and it's a crowd pleaser too, so that's helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look at that. That's beautiful and that nicely plated up like that.
Yeah, pretty easy, huh?
Yeah.
Here's my cheese. Throw that on there. Voila.
Oh yeah. That looks amazing.
Yeah, food doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah. Well, I would say this was another terrific lesson, Rita. Thank you. I am going to get the poll up for our recipes for next month. So we want to be sure to share recipes that you would like to see. So we've got a couple of options here. Um, the first one is 3 easy snacks. So hummus, high protein spinach artichoke dip, and a homemade protein bar. Those all sound yummy. Option number 2 is summery salads. So the first is potato with green beans and black olives, and then a couscous or orzo summer salad. So we've got votes coming in here. Thank you for that. We're going to let the poll kind of run for a bit, and I will also send the voting options out with uh, the email that goes out too. So. Uh,
Yeah, if anybody wants to know, couscous is pasta. It's a round pasta, and orzo is like a rice-shaped pasta.
Yeah, that's nice. I didn't know what orzo was before getting the options and looking it up. So yeah, that's another interesting one as well. So yeah, again, we just really appreciate all of you attending and sharing your time with us today. You know, learning more about nutrition and food is always such an important part of living well with diabetes. You should be proud of yourself for being here. We certainly are. So I'm going to bring up my slides so that I can tell you a little bit more um, about upcoming events. Next month's recipe voting options. And then in terms of our upcoming events, next Thursday, May 22nd, Eleni will be talking about making sense of your T1D data. And I'm really looking forward to that one. I find myself um, I often struggle to make sense of my own T1D data because I feel like I'm too close to it. And so getting some additional perspective and some other tips and tricks for making the most out of the reports and things that are available is going to be a really good session. And then on Thursday and Friday, June 5th and 6th will be the English group session. Again, you're welcome to come to whichever works best for your schedule, or both if you like. And it sounds like the topic for this month will be T1D and heart health. And then we will have the next month's cooking class on Monday, June 9th, featuring one of the two recipes that you just saw a moment ago. And then you can see later in the month, we'll have another webinar on June 30th, all about T1D and your rights. And then the English group session for July will be on Thursday. And then the office will be closed on the 4th of July. So we're only doing one group session next month in July. So keep an eye on your email and text messages for more information on all of those. And then I'm also excited to share that we've added an events list on our website so you can see dates, times, and register for any upcoming events that you'd like to attend. And then finally, please do share your feedback. Depending on how you joined, you may see a survey once you close out of here, or in the follow-up email, I'll be sure to include it there too. And we'd love to know if this was helpful and what other topics or recipes you would like us to cover. And then for anyone here today who may not be familiar with Blue Circle Health, I'd like to share just a quick 5-minute overview, and then I can stick around to answer any questions. Rita, we'll let you drop off, and for those who are already familiar with us, you can also drop off anytime you like. But Rita, thank you again. It was a terrific session, and I look
My
forward to.
pleasure. You bet. You bet. We'll see you guys.
All right, thanks, Rita. All right, so just a quick kind of information or introduction to Blue Circle Health. Blue Circle Health offers free clinical care, education, and support for people with type 1 diabetes. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization funded by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, an organization dedicated to improving the lives of people with diabetes. We're a virtual program for adults living with T1D, offering free care, education, and support to those who need an extra hand, and we're an extension of the care that you already receive. You stay connected to your medical home, and we're just here to help close the gap. So what exactly does that mean? So our program is up to 6 months long. It's done entirely virtually over Zoom, text, and phone, offers as much or as little support as you need. You can take advantage of every service that we offer or pick just the ones that you need. And I'll share more on that in a second. Um, you can stay connected to your primary care providers and endos, and we send chart notes to them throughout the program. Our services are free regardless of insurance and immigration status, and re-enrollment is possible 1 year from the original enrollment date. The graphic on the right side shows the available services, and I'll describe them in more detail here, going counterclockwise and starting with clinical care. So our program offers clinical care, and that's exactly what it sounds like. It's visits with an endocrinologist or an advanced nurse practitioner. We offer insurance navigation, so consultation with insurance specialists who can help you understand and maximize any insurance coverage you may have. We can also help you find insurance coverage if needed, help with prior authorizations. We offer diabetes supportive counseling, offers help with the emotional burden of type 1 diabetes. We offer case management. Case manager can help if you're struggling with food, housing, or employment insecurity. We offer peer support. In addition to the monthly group sessions, you'll have a dedicated T1D support guide to work with who will help you navigate all the other services. We offer education and nutrition, so visits with registered dietitians and certified diabetes care and education specialists. Then there are 2 additional programs available within the Blue Circle Health program. The first is a prescription assistance program for qualified applicants who need help paying for supplies and medications. The qualification for that is an income level at or below 300% of the federal poverty level. And then we offer an Intro to CGM program, which provides 3 months of free education and access to CGM for those who have not had reliable access to one before. In terms of eligibility requirements, they are as follows. So a diagnosis of type 1 diabetes. And note, this is not just for the newly diagnosed. We're here for you anywhere along your type 1 diabetes journey. Age 18 plus. You must be English and or Spanish speaking. You need to have an ability to connect and participate in virtual care, which usually means just access to a smartphone or computer for Zoom video calls. You must also have a primary care provider or endocrinologist or be willing to be connected to one. No current pregnancy, and then you must reside in one of the states that we're available in. As of today, that is Florida, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Ohio, Delaware, Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, or Iowa. And that list of states is constantly growing. So check on our website and follow us on social media for the latest, especially for those who might be watching the recording. Now I'm going to play a short video from a few of the people who have gone through the program. It's about 90 seconds long. And while that's playing, go ahead and share any questions you might have in the chat. And I'm happy to stick around and answer them.
I was waking up and my blood sugar's at 400, 600 every day. That to me, waking up dizzy, tired was normal.
My day consisted of working with my cards all day long. I didn't have a life. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I knew nothing about the phone.
And even with the knowledge I have as a nurse, I still didn't have the knowledge to control my diabetes.
I didn't have the right tools or the right education. Even though I've been diabetic my whole life,
It just became so common to me to keep getting sick all the time, all the time. The ambulance people already knew me. I knew the crew that was gonna pick me up. It's scary.
And then the circle showed up.
The confidence I have today. I feel like a new person. I feel happier. I feel safer. I'm just glad I grasped the control in time.
my journey with you guys has been amazing. I feel like I have my life back.
I don't know where I would be right now. And I am so trained up with God. I am so grateful. It's absolutely.
When you change somebody's life in the way they have changed mine, and after a lot I've been through with diabetes, it's priceless.
All right. Thank you for your attention and curiosity. Please visit our website at bluecirclehealth.org to learn more, sign up, or ask us any additional questions. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end today's webinar, and I hope to see you again at another one soon.